lovely YouTube people. Thank you for coming to my channel. You're here for part 2 of the big review, and we have the wonderful Kxvu in the side. Hi.
What's popping? This is fun, this YouTube collab stuff. This is fun.
It is, I like it.
It's really fun.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who has come to my channel to watch part 2. Thank you to everyone who looked into part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to get into many more albums over the course of this and see how much we actually agree on this time.
Yeah, I think the first time around we were in agreement for most of it. I think it was just the Dot Rotten one where it kind of went a little we didn't know. But I mean, there's been some interesting ones. I would not have thought at the start of this the Frisco album would be going into nostalgic plays only, but there we go. I mean, let's should we crack on and get a few more in there, because I think we've got about 12-15 to do this episode, so hopefully we can get them all in.
Did you want to pick which ones we do? It's probably easy for you because you can see what you
I'll tell you what, do you want to do the system we were doing in the last one? And we've got 2 rows here, so if you pick actually, you know what, I'm just going to cycle around. I've got my mouse on my screen, so if you say go, I'll stop on that bit and click it. All right, so go from now. Wiley Godfather 3.
Oh, come on, what a one to start on. Wow.
There we go. So how are we feeling about Godfather 3 then? Because, yeah, this is huge.
This was a very long anticipated album. What, it was meant to drop on like the 1st of January, and it's now June, so thank you for that, Wiley. It's I think this album is brilliant for what grime is now in 2020. I think it really highlights it. It really gives the shine to the new gen artists, and I feel like it incorporates all of the nostalgic aspects and the new aspects, and I think it is really well put together. Not even talking about some of the features that they've got, because some of the tunes are fucking bang on. But what about you?
I mean, I won't lie, it's my second favourite Wiley album ever. It beats Godfather 1 out the park. I think as a representation of what grime is, as you were saying now, I think it just hits home. The features on there are so well thought out, and I did a live review of the album on my channel, and the kind of thing I kind of got from it was a perfect fusion of nostalgic grime and new school grime. It felt like a perfect fusion. It felt like it was really well thought out. The collaborations, some tracks we were seeing, Breeze, I think Scratchy came back for a tune as well. As we said in the last episode, they haven't been that active, but on this one they pop up. We see Rico pop up on a feature as well, although it wasn't like an original feature. We see a lot of the original Roll Deep names pop up, and then we see people like Big Zoo. We see K9 being very active on the album as well. I think it was just a perfect fusion more than anything else, and it was sick to see. Honestly, really, really sick to see.
I think the features that Wiley picked were the ones that deserved to be picked, which is funny because obviously you see it on Twitter, a lot of them didn't actually know that they was even going to be on the album.
Yeah.
In a sense, Wiley is a marketing genius, because they done all the marketing saying, oh my god, I'm on my album, I didn't even know. It's brilliant, but the people that are on that album deserve to be on that album. They're the people that you can pinpoint in the grime scene that have been putting in work, they've been at the radio sets, they've been at events, and they are on the level where they deserve to be on an album with Wiley.
Yeah. I think it's quite mad, isn't it? Because it's kind of here's your reward. It's the Godfather kind of go you're doing well. Here's your reward, and it's to be on Godfather. Now, I think with this one, I think we're both in agreement. It can't go below banger. I think that would be a real disservice towards it. And considering it only came out literally last week, this is going to be interesting because we don't know if it will hold up over time. We don't know how it will kind of look in even a year, 6 months. We don't know how it will kind of how it will run. But I mean, I'm leaning towards Reload every time as an album. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, I definitely was as well, because the only sort of issue I had with this album is sort of because the features are so prevalent and so important and amazing, they're in between where the features are on the album. There's patches where it gets a little bit sort of dry and samey, but then the features completely take all of that away. So I think it is Reload every time, for the fact that when you feel like you're getting bored, it gets better.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a proper roller coaster, like it's a journey, you know, and an album should be a journey. It shouldn't just be we're here. It makes you go up, down, and there's high points and low points, and it when you're listening to it in long format, there are bits where you do kind of get a bit, you kind of dip, like the energy levels go down, but then it goes bam and hits you again right around the face. And I think that's essential, and I think that's to an extent Wiley showing his know-how and his like year-long expertise. I think that's what it is. Definitely. So I think we have to go reload. I think we have to. Definitely. There we go. Bang. Wiley hits reload every time. This list is mad, you know. Kind of looking at it, how we've got it. This list is mad. Okay, cool. Next up on the list, I'll pick this. What we'll do is I'll pick one. You do a round the pick, and then I'll pick one on. Or actually, no, let's not. Let's keep it random. Let's keep it random. I don't want to be biased. So, because we're gonna fit 14 in, so we need to make sure we're doing this fairly. So when you're ready, say go. P Money over everyone 3.
Okay.
There we go. Now this one, my best friend Miles literally did the photography at the launch event for this, so he was telling me how much of an absolute madness it was. Who's going to be on the channel as soon as lockdown procedures are over, because we've got to do some reaction videos together. He's one of the funniest people I know. But we're going to, I think with this one, we have to take it as what it is, which is, for me, at least, this is P Money's best album, I think. Anyway, now what would your thoughts be on it as an album overall?
As an album overall, I think it's like well put together. It sort of like reflects Money Over Everyone 1 to see like how far like he's come from that, even though like the styles that he was using then is still very sort of similar to the styles that he was using now, but like he's just like always unapologetically himself. Like it's just, when P Money, you know what you're getting from P Money. That's the thing. Like he's never faulted. He'll always be one of the best, and that's why I feel like this album is really important.
Definitely.
Even though like it does have like touches where like it isn't grime, so like maybe some people would argue it's not overall a grime album because there's little aspects here and there. I think it's really, really solid for P Money, especially with how many like projects he has put out, to be
entirely
able to even sort of now be able to put out a project which still holds its weight. I think that's really important and something that should be sort of appreciated.
Definitely. I think that I've got an interesting theory with P Money. I've brought it up on radio shows before, but my theory on him is he is too consistent. That's what my honest opinion on P Money is. He is too consistent, and that's why he's often overlooked in that sort of like top 5 grime bracket. Purely because he's never dipped. He's never had a point where he's kind of let kind of go of the quality for an extent, and then kind of jumped back up, and people have gone, "Oh my god, he was always great." It's been a constant 8.59. Like everything he's done is a constant 8.59, and because it's such a high level constantly, it's almost become normalized. So we almost like aren't wowed by him being good anymore. If that makes sense. So it's almost like his consistency is almost like a disadvantage to him, which is quite a madness to kind of think about. But I feel with this album, this was where it felt for me that it was like, look, enough's enough. He's clearly one of the best ever. He has to be in that bracket now. I feel this was like the long-awaited solidification album, where it was kind of like you can't look past his name in that top 5 bracket anymore, because it's just been too good for too long, and this one's leveled up again. I mean, for that reason, again, it's an interesting start to this one. I'd push for Reload every time.
I have got Reload every time as well. That's the thing. Because like there are certain tunes on there, like Shook, for example, like that is him literally saying like, take notice of me, I am one of the best, and like you can't ignore that for much longer. Like if P Money's not in your top 5, then like I don't really know in it. Like I don't know about it because he's like one of my top 3. So I'm just slightly biased to the fact that I love P Money. Like no matter what genre he's on, whether it's grime, like drum and bass, anything, I think P Money's one of the best. So I'm definitely biased in this situation. But Money Over Everyone coming out when it did, with the songs on it that it's got on it, like Where and When, and like the visual aspect of it, everything. It's A class. Like you can't say that it's not, sort of thing.
I'd agree. I think we have to put it into Reload every time. So there we go. Good start to this one. Got to say, very good start to this one. Right, let's do another random pick then. Drum roll, please. Wait. Frisco, Back to the Lab, Volume 3.
Okay.
Now, we had a little bit of controversy in the last one with Peng Food going into nostalgic plays only, despite the fact that Frisco is in my top 5, and that I don't know. It's either this or Peng Food that's my favorite Frisco album. So I need to kind of work things out here. But yeah, Back to the Lab Volume 3. Do you want to make a start on this one?
Well, I'll let you know, like off the bat, that I put it into reload every time.
Okay.
If that
okay. I mean, this could be a really interesting start, because Frisco, I think more so than Peng Food, actually, I think this was Frisco just being like one of the best, being consistent, being solid with his choice of collaborations as well. Like, I think an interesting thing with a collaboration is when you're putting together a body of work, it may sound a bit like unusual and a bit almost like not even snaky, but to an extent, I think it's quite important to not consistently get outshined by collabs on your own album. I genuinely think that's quite an important thing of your album being like classed high, being like getting a higher ranking, because if the best things about your album are the collaborations, then like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like realistically, but I think on this, every collaboration makes sense, every collaboration adds, but it doesn't take away from what Frisco's doing, which I think's a really interesting point on this as well. Again, beat selection on this, I just remember listening through it and being like just energetic and again, I'm using the word nostalgic a lot because a lot of these albums are 10 plus years old at this point. But I remember just the feeling I used to get listening to this album early on. It was like it felt almost like a mixtape to an extent. And I don't even know if Back to the Lab was a mixtape. It might have been a mixtape series actually, but I mean we're classing it as an album now in the long run. Yeah. But I think I'm going to have to go with you, you know. I'm going to have to go into reload every time. We've done 3 reload every times in a row. This might get... I think... There we go. I think Frisco... Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I think Frisco there, considering Peng Food is it is a good album, but the fact I can't remember anything off it, but I can't remember like how it sounded. I can't remember anything off it. I just have a good feeling about it. But with Back to the Lab, I can remember how it sounded. It was that real kind of blend of almost to an extent grime, and then like to an extent Da Vinci-like sounds, which is quite interesting. There was a lot of that kind of like those horn samples and very kind of skippy instrumentals.
Like experimental in a sense as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving forward then. We're going to try and get as many of these in as possible. You may miss a couple depending on the shuffle, but here we go. Drum roll, please.
Go.
Jamie Blam.
Oh, okay. That's actually the one that my notes was on. That's really weird.
Oh, that's mad. It's like it was planned. The thing is, on the screen, people can't see where my mouse is, but I'm willing to testify. This isn't planned. This is randomized. It's randomized. Honestly.
Did you want to start with this one?
I won't lie to you. I have never been the biggest JME fan overall, and I don't really mind saying that. For me, like you can probably look and see through the people that I really rank as MCs as we've discussed so far. It's as much about kind of bars and flows for me, and how you physically perform and how you physically rap. For me as a grime MC, that's like one of the main characteristics. And for some reason, I'm the same with Kendrick Lamar. In regards to the way he raps, I'm not the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan. I love what he says, but sonically something doesn't really sit right with me. Same with JME. I tend to find that he's quite stuttered in the way he raps a lot of the time, and I feel this album was almost like it felt for me like it was like the height of that for me.
Yeah. I feel like if you grow up on grime music, JME is quite hard to sort of adapt to because his style is very unique, like in comparison to a lot of the other artists that he was working with, especially at that time. Like you said, it's like quite stuttered. It's like quite slow paced, even though it's grime. Like the way that he sets his bars out makes it quite slow. So I think that's quite hard to like adjust to, say, going from like, I don't know, Skepta.
Yeah.
Like quite fast paced. Like, you know his flow, you know what's going to happen. To JME, like you never really know where he's going to take the tune.
Yeah.
Which
definitely
for me is a disadvantage because like you can't put on a song and be like, yeah, this is gonna be a banger, it's fine, I'll leave it on. Like you get halfway through and be like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. Yeah, you get a little bit lost. Yeah.
What do you think of like the album overall, though?
Overall, I don't think it's JME's best project. I think it was a project that got him very well known. But I mean, I'm the same with like The Weeknd. His most popular album is my least favorite album he's ever made. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't think it was. He never really moved away from grime. He's definitely been someone that has been very loyal to grime as a genre. Like, we haven't really heard him go to many other places. And obviously, very astute businessman, very astute figure in what he does. Very, very. I'm trying to think. Integral, I think, in regards to grime and what he's kind of come from and how he's used his position. But for me, I wouldn't go above solid on this one, and the reason I wouldn't go any lower is because it is such an important album to grime. But for me, I've just never really been able to get stuck into it without kind of feeling like I want to move on to something else. So I'll go solid purely because I'm very aware that's my own personal preference rather than its overall impact. I think that's like the fairest I can be, I'd say.
Yeah, that's valid. I actually went for solid as well because, like, despite the fact that this album is obviously like a notable achievement for JME, obviously, like, at the time that he made it, like, it was like right at the beginning of like the 2010s, like, so it sort of like did carry him in a sense for a few years, maybe when he wasn't being so active in that. But like, as an album overall, it's not something that I would like pick out to listen to. There's like a few songs in there, like Blam, like, obviously iconic. You can't like
entirely.
But then like the rest of the album, it's sort of like Godfather 3, like it falls a bit at times and then sort of comes back up, but like it doesn't come up enough for me to. I can't think of. Yeah.
There's what I think. There's a Wiley album that does a very similar thing. There's a Wiley album that has a very similar thing, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where it's the front cover is the billboard.
Oh yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the album, and that's going to really annoy me because that's going to absolutely aggravate me beyond belief. It'll pop up to me in a few minutes or whatever, but I remember seeing it, and that has a similar theme to me. It's around a similar sort of time as well, where it almost felt like there was a few grime things on there, but people were almost trying to be too experimental whilst also trying to be in that sort of grime field as well. And I don't know, just for me personally, and the thing is, there's JME albums that I would put in like. There's a couple of JME albums that I would put in higher brackets, like very, very easily, if they come up in this later on. So it's not like a negative kind of bias thing. I'm fully aware of how impactful it is, but I can't see it going above solid. For me personally, anyway, that's where I'd kind of rank it.
No, I'd have to agree. I'd say that's the thing. It is a solid body of work, so like you can't put it any lower, but I wouldn't categorize it any higher.
There we go. So solid we're into. So let's hit the drum roll again, please.
Go.
This is going to be such a controversial one, and everyone's going to hate me. Everyone's going to hate me for my opinions on this album. Have a guess at what it is.
Oh god, I don't know. I couldn't even begin to guess off the list.
Yeah. Okay. It's Boy in the Corner, Dizzy Rascal.
You're gonna break my heart.
Yeah. I have such an issue with this album, and the thing of it is, it's undoubtable that this, for UK music, this is one of the most important albums that's ever happened. I will never deny that for a split second, but it's not a grime album. And I will not, I can't be, there's 4 grime tunes, if that, on there.
Okay, I totally agree with you in that sense, but this is a proper nostalgic album for me. Like, this came out in 2003. I was 6, so like I grew up literally on the
entirely.
So, like, I don't know. There's so many bangers on it, but the thing is, it's not grime. And I do have to give you that. Like, the main ones, like Stop That and everything, are like so hold totally the definition of grime.
The grime tunes on there are undeniably massive grime tunes, but this for me is like calling Gang Signs and Prayers a grime album.
Yeah.
Which I just can't. And realistically, they're probably like over the course of time, they will probably have the same. They'll be in the same bracket for impact. In 20 years' time, we'll look back at Gang Signs and Prayers and go, look what that album achieved. Look how much it changed things. And again, I wouldn't class it as a grime album, but I mean, I understand this landing in banger. I could not for the life of me put this in reload every time, and everyone is going to hate me for that, because this is, I know it's widely seen as one of the most, it's the best grime album ever, the most important grime album ever. Cool. It's not a grime album for me, and I'm gonna get chastised for it so much, I know, but I can't not say it.
For me, in the complete opposite, it is reload every time. I put that 100% reload every time. I do completely agree with what you're saying. Like, when you do actually break it down to the grime aspects of it, there's not a lot. Like,
I think Stand Up Tools on there. I think, unless I'm completely wrong, I'm pretty sure Stand Up Tools on there. You've got
there's like Fix Up Look Sharp, Just the Rascal, Jezebel.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Even some of them, like, they're not grime tunes.
Like Fix Up, like. I mean, we look at it realistically. Fix Up Look Sharp was the biggest tune, unless I completely missed something. Fix Up Look Sharp was the tune that popped off that album the most, and that again was the definition of, at the time, of like an experimental UK hip hop tune. And I mean, it's going to end up in reload every time. I'm not going to win the argument. That's the thing. I know I'm not going to win it, but I need my opinions on record. Annoyingly, this hasn't come up on my channel because I want this on my channel. But as it's your channel, I'm gonna catch so much flack for this. I'm fully aware. But all I'll say is, people, listen to the points I'm making. It's not a biased thing. Although I'm not the biggest Dizzy Rascal fan in the way he performs and raps, regardless, I'm fully aware the impact this album had. Grime wouldn't be where it is now without this album. Fully aware. And we'll never like I'll never not admit that. That'd be a silly thing to do. However, it's in like, for me anyway. I mean, it's going in reload every time. I'm aware of that. However, I'm withholding judgment, and if this was on my channel, it would go in banger. That's what I'll say.
Well, we can come to an agreement, because I suppose in a sense, me thinking it's reload every time is because it's so nostalgic to me. So maybe for me, it's.
Oh, we're getting a switch. Oh God, what have I done? Don't let me talk to people. I just ruined their lives.
No, I have to say, I love this album. It's the album that I grew up on. It's the album that like really inspired me to the genre of grime. But when you get older and in hindsight you look at it, it's not a totally grime album. Which is
okay. Let's look at this as. Okay, let's compare it. Yeah, let's compare it to the other four in there and compare it to the three in banger right now. Is it? I mean, it is. That's the thing. It genuinely is. Is it as representative? We said, is it as representative to grime as Dirty Canvas?
No.
I'd say yes.
Really?
I'd say yes, purely because how many people know about grime because of Dizzy Rascal?
That's true. That's it. His impact was massive, especially from this album.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it to go into reload every time, but I can't justify it not being in reload every time, despite the points I make, because of the impact it had and the importance of it and all those things there. I think those kind of points do outweigh my specific things of what it did for grime. Almost outweighs the fact that it isn't that much of a grime project, if that makes sense.
I think that is the best way to explain it, to be honest.
Right, let's move on before we carry on. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna move on. Come on, do a drum roll. Give me a drum roll. Once it's in, it's in.
I'm really bad at drum rolls, guy.
That I think, right, it's literally in the middle between two. So give me another quick drum roll and I'll go between the two because I couldn't see where it was.
Okay.
I was expecting a go. I stopped as the drum roll stopped. But we're going there. Okay, Wiley, Tunnel Vision, Volume 1.
Okay.
I purposely only picked one of them because if we could put all the Tunnel Visions in there, we'd be there all day, and then we'd be breaking down like the.
That's crazy.
Without a doubt, though, I think this is the most important mixtape series that's ever hit UK music. In my honest opinion, I think Tunnel Vision is the most important series of same-name projects to ever happen in the UK in regards to underground music, in regards to rap music, and of course grime. Like I think the regularity of Tunnel Vision dropping and the consistency of it, even though it felt like it was a bit thrown together sometimes, I think it was as a series undeniably incredibly important.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, like, even because it was so consistent is what made it important, like, because at that time obviously grime was still growing and building as a genre, so like it wasn't really the sense of I have to be the best, it's just I have to do it sort of thing, because obviously because it was still growing and building, no one was the best at that time. Everyone was just trying their hardest, like, and I feel like that's why the Tunnel Vision series was so important, because even though sometimes it might not have been the best, it was consistent and it gives people a regular sort of injection of grime like that they needed during that time.
There we go. So what we're going to go... I don't know where to rate this, because I think we have to rank it just as Tunnel Vision Volume 1 on its own, which for me would put it into... I can't believe I'm saying this. Either Nostalgic Plays Only or Solid, because again, I off the top of my head, I do kind of struggle to name a tune off Tunnel Vision Volume 1.
Yeah, so do I, to be fair.
And I think that the thing about Tunnel Vision as an overall thing was the fact that you would sit and listen to it start to finish. It'd often be on in the background. It'd be playing in the record store when you went into the record store. Like it was almost like easy listening music, or it was like easy listening grime to an extent, which is quite a bizarre thing to kind of do. But that's the context I always remember hearing it in, was just on in someone's house when I went in. Like it was never like, have you heard this new Ton Up tune? It was never that. It was always, oh, it's just on. Like let's throw some music on. Yeah, the Tunnel Vision on. Like it was. It's a difficult one, and I think Tunnel Vision got better as it went on, so I think picking Tunnel Vision 1, it may have to go in Nostalgic Plays Only, you know. I'm going to get chastised so badly for this.
I'd say the same, to be fair. Like, I even put the note, like, it's not something that I draw for often, but like the certain bangers that I do particularly like on there, like really do like highlight Wiley's style at that time, and like what he was trying to be and do, and that's why I think it's nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, how many of would you play any of the tunes now if you were in a dance now? Are there any tunes on there that you kind of think, I'll run this and it'll get a good reaction? Are people's memories that good? I think that's the thing of it. Is it impactful enough for people for most people to remember more than one song off there?
I don't think so, to be honest, but I don't know whether that's because obviously it was part of like a mixtape series. So like,
and they were dropping. As far as I'm aware, they were dropping like once every like 3 months as well. Like there was a point where they were dropping like so regularly that it was that case of the consistency of Tunnel Vision overall is what makes them great. It's almost like the MCU with Marvel. Like Marvel is great because of all of them put together, and that one film isn't necessarily on its own that great, but it's because of what they all represent together, I think. So yeah, we'll go in Nostalgic Plays. Wow, can't believe I'm doing this.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it?
But the thing is, when you break things down, you often end up with different results that you'd expect, because so much of this is sort of wrapped up in nostalgia and like thinking about what, like almost replicating then but now, when you actually break it down and go, would I listen to it now? Has it stood the test of time? I'm not too sure. An example of this is if you go back and play old PlayStation 1 games. It's quite a weird analogy, but if you go back and play old PlayStation 1 games, they don't look like what you remember them looking like. They look completely different, and you're like, I don't remember it being this bad. I remember it looking like so much nicer at the time. And you go back and because and the truth is, a lot of the time games things don't stand the test of time overall, which I think is a good example of this. But regardless, Tunnel Vision as a series overall has to be put into the bracket of like undeniably one of the most important things that's happened in UK underground music. And for me, the most important overall series. Cool. Let's give this a go then. Right, give me a drum roll, please, and say go, because I'm going to get confused otherwise.
Go.
Interesting one. This is going to be really interesting, and I know I've got a friend who loves this album to pieces. It's Boy Better Know, Tropical.
Okay. Actually have any notes on this?
No, I'm pretty sure this is also fully instrumental. Unless I've missed a trick, there might be a little vocal on there somewhere, but I'm pretty sure it's primarily an instrumental project.
I am really not too sure.
I'm trying to think, because I remember how it sounded. There was very kind of almost post garage in the sort of sound that was put on this. It was very kind of choppy, very colourful instrumentation, and it was still undeniably that sort of JME and Skepta kind of sound. I think Skepta co-produces a fair bit of the album, if I'm not mistaken. But I think I don't know, like. We can't class it in. It's nowhere near in the same bracket as Dirty Canvas. Let's be honest.
No, that's the thing. Like, and I feel like it's sort of like the last one, obviously, because it was like an edition series, and I think this was number 4, if I'm right. Edition number 4. That is sort of like, again, it's sort of hard to pick out the best bits and like differentiate between all the different editions, like, because there are so many different components that go into it. But yeah, like, it was like quite garagey and like almost bordering on like dubsteppy, and I feel like that's really important to, like, when it started sort of uplifting the subgenres that go hand in hand with grime. So I feel like that's why it was really quite important.
Where are we going to place it? I'm struggling to get it above Nostalgic Plays Only, being completely honest, because I can't imagine playing it in a rave. I can't imagine it sounding good in a dance. And I think because it's instrumental, and it's in a weird realm of instrumental, because it's not instrumentals that you vocal, you know what I mean? They're not instrumentals you throw in a set like a Dirty Canvas where those they can be vocaled. This for me is almost like you have to listen to it for what it is, which is instrumental grime, but I can't see myself ever sitting back and listening to it again.
Yeah, I'd say definitely nostalgic as well, because like, especially looking back in hindsight, like, it's sort of like the beginning of like the R&G.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
So then looking back now, like, especially to see like how far R&G has come now, like, and how experimental it is, like, obviously it is nostalgic because that was sort of like the beginning of it all. So I'd be happy for it to sit in that category, to be honest.
Yeah, I think nostalgic. The only reason I don't want to go higher is because I can't see it being played now for anything other than nostalgic purposes. Yeah, of course. To kind of go, let's have a listen, see what it sounds like, see if it still sounds good. I can't imagine listening to it for anything other than those reasons. So, let's crack on then. Right, let's get the drum roll.
Go.
So it's our boy again. First person to hit 3 projects in this selection. Ghetto with the original Ghetto Gospel.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be very interesting. Okay, I think we've got the thing is, as we've got 2 Gets projects in there, there's a very quick way of doing this. Is it better than New Testament?
In a sense, yes.
Is it better than Freedom of Speech?
No.
I don't think it is either. So that means it's either solid or banger, depending on how much, basically, because that's where those 2 are. I think. Let's think. Impact wise. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know how high I could rank this in comparison with Freedom of Speech, to be completely honest with you.
I don't think it is as good as Freedom of Speech, but it is like a really important album for the time that it was, between like the 2000s and 2010s, because that's when like artists sort of started branching out from just having strictly grime albums, started including different things. Like, it's a really sort of outspoken and expressive album, which is obviously a really important sort of characteristic of Gets. There's only a few songs off there that I would like pick out to play. Obviously, like top 3 selected, like.
Yeah, that's in there every time.
Yeah, but then like sort of the rest of it, like, I don't know. That's really, really hard to pick that one.
I think we go solid, to be honest with you. I think I'd go solid, because like a good way of putting it, is it better than R.I.P. Young Dot as a grime album? For me, I'd say no. Is it better than Jackham? Again, I'd probably say no. Is it better than Blam? Yes. Is it better than Greatest Hits? I'd probably say it's on par with greatest hits for a grime album. Is it better than Roll Deep, Rules and Regulations? I'd probably say no. Is it better than Godfather 1? I'd say it's on par. Is it better than Chupa Chups? I'd say it's probably on par. So I think it fits probably quite well into Solid.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay, cool. Right, next one. We've only got a few left, and we've only got about 5 minutes left on this. So we're gonna do. Let's see if we can get 2 more in. I think 2 more in is probably bang on fair. So there's one that I want to put in here because because this is my favorite grime album of all time, and I want to see whether or not you would agree on its placement. Wiley, Playtime is Over for me goes into Reload every time.
What did I actually put for that? So I put Solid and Banger, but honestly, thinking about it now and looking back to the type of songs that was on it, it has to be Reload every time.
Yeah.
There are some proper iconic tunes on that album.
Yeah, I think, well, you look through, you've got 50-50, you've got My Mistakes, you've got Gangsters, you've got, like, I mean, those 3 alone as a stand-up, there's not really, like, a low point. You know what, I'm going to quickly bring up the track listing on my phone, because I think for this one, I want to make an exception purely because I want to argue my case for it being my favourite grime album. Let's have a little look. Play.
Because that's when like Wiley really started sort of getting into like the Esky beats and the Esky boys sort of like.
Yeah, Esky boys on there as well. Okay, so yeah, you've got on the album from start to finish 50-50, Bowie Free, Sippin', absolute banger, Flyboy, Baby Girl, Gangsters, Stars, Letter to Dizzy, My Mistakes, No Qualms, Johnny Was a Bad Boy, Nothing About Me, Come Lay With Me, Get Along Gang, Esky Boy and Playtime's Over. Like there's 5, like there's 5 top 50 ever grime tunes in there. Like I like, how did you get it down to Solid?
No, to be honest, like, I think the reason I put it in Solid is because it is quite versatile, and again, you probably could argue your case of whether it's grime or whether it's not grime sort of thing in it. But overall, I think it is a grime album because, like, say, like, if you had to pick top 5 tunes off the album, they're all going to be the grime ones, like Bowie Free and Esky Boy and No Qualms and things like that. And, like, they're fucking bangers. So
yeah.
I think I'm going to ignore my notes.
There we go. Do you know how annoyed I would have been if Playtime is Over was in Reload every time and Boy in the Corner wasn't? I would have been no. If Playtime wasn't in there and Boy in the Corner was, I would have been absolutely fuming, like beyond belief. Okay, cool. Right, so there's a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 we haven't got around to doing. We put a big list in there, to be fair, and we don't want these videos to be super extensively long because they'll get a bit boring towards the end. So let's pick 2 more and see where they land. So I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So pick between 1 and 13.
Let's go with 13.
Is it going to chip with Playtime? Not Playtime. Chip with League of My Own.
Fucking iconic.
Yeah, like
Chipmunk's a very strange artist because I think he's like kind of like Marmite. It's either you like him or you don't.
Yeah.
But I actually really do like Chipmunk, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this album for me, bear in mind, I think he was either 16 or 17 when he dropped this album. It was like so, like it was outrageously good. Like, Who Are You at the time, one of the biggest grime singles, like of the time, easily. And bear in mind, this came out I think about 3 to 4, maybe 5 months after the Westwood Freestyle, which really is probably the most iconic Westwood Freestyle there's ever been. I'd say it's in that bracket. But yeah, Who Are You was Who Are You kind of was one of the big tunes off that album, and I think, I mean, is it better than R.I.P. Young Dot? Yes. Is it better than Freedom of Speech? I'll be honest, yes. Even though he was 17, it just is. Is it better than Jackham? Yes. Is it on par with Back to the Lab 3? Yes, like quite easily. Is it on par with Money Over Everyone 3? Yes. Godfather 3? Yes. Is it on par with Dirty Canvas? I'd say for impact, yeah. I think it is.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, when you're talking about Chipmunk, you do have to take into consideration the fact he was so young.
Yeah.
And his skills were so, like, ridiculously high. Like, talking about, like, Who Are You, for example, like, I remember watching that on Channel U, Channel AKA, whatever it was when people watched it. And I remember just being in awe of the fact that he was, like, in reality, only a few years older than me, but his talent was just out of the bloody world. Like,
yeah.
It's absolutely...
Just the kind of finesse and, like, swagger being a few years. No, maybe I'm about the same age, I think, as Chip. I think I'm about the same age. Maybe, I don't know, possibly. Yeah, I hope I'm around the same age. Otherwise, I could. He may have been a couple of years older than me. Actually, I don't know. I'm completely losing track. But yeah, kind of like looking through things, I think that has to go into reload every time. What he's kind of done off the back of it, obviously, League of My Own 2 wasn't in the same. It wasn't in the same kind of bracket for me. It didn't hit home as much. But this of that time, it was another one I've got to say that was on my Xbox. I literally one of the CDs I actually bought and loaded into my Xbox. It was this. Playtime's Over, Skepta Greatest Hits, and DJ Cameo Sound of the Pirates, which was like a UK mixtape at the time. That's what I mean, they're all nostalgic for me, but I think this one does stand the test of time, and you look back on it, and it's not like it's not a weak body of work at all. Okay, cool. So we've got time to pick one more.
Okay. Do you I don't know, you can see the numbers, so do you want me to pick it?
Yeah, pick a number between 1 and 12.
1 and 12. Let's go with 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is going to be interesting. Jammer, Are You Dumb? Volume 3. Is that 2 or 3? I think that's... No, it's Volume 2, sorry. Volume 2. It's Volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah. Do you want to start this one?
I mean, I'll be honest. I think Jammer does not get the credit he deserves in Grime. I'll be 100% honest on it. I think production-wise and influence-wise, I think he's one of the most important figures in the scene. However, I would say that he's not the best musician in the scene. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. I think he's a better producer than he is MC. I think that's a fair thing to say, because he's made some like iconic sounds and a lot of stuff that's not necessarily credited. Obviously, a lot of the like production and engineering credits for the earlier sort of times as well. And just as a figure in Grime, I think he is a very important figure. But I can't put this higher than Nostalgic Plays Only.
I would actually put this into the probably wouldn't listen again.
Yeah,
I suppose I'm slightly biased because I don't really like Jammer as a character or as an artist.
Okay.
Sort of like looking at him from an outsider point of view, he's definitely a really, really impactful person on the scene, obviously with Lords of the Mics and everything he's done in that respect. But as an artist, he's just not my cup of tea. I don't know what it is. I've never really warmed to him, and sort of social media has warped it more because obviously when you see someone like that tweeting mad shit, you're going to be like sort of thing in it. So maybe that's why I'm more slightly biased, because I don't actually really like him as a character.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
Either, so
there we go.
An important album for me as well.
Okay, what we're going to do then is, because I'm in agreement with you on where it kind of sits. I couldn't put it above Nostalgic Plays Only, but I can't see myself ever listening to it again, if I'm being completely honest with you. Are You Done Volume 3, I actually really liked, but 2, it just never really hit home for me, so there we go.
I'll say there's probably only one tune that I might listen to, but that's because it's got a Skepta feature on it, and his verse on it is sick. So it's not even really for the sense I'd listen to it because it's a Jammer tune. It's because it has a really, really good Skepta feature.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so there's a number left. I think what we'll do is I'll let you pick one that we can rank out of the ones that are left in this list.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got Kano 140 Grime Street. We've got Footsie's new album, which I believe is called Favours.
Yes.
It's called Favours. We've got Kano Home Sweet Home. We've got Kano Hoodies All Summer. We've somehow not managed to land on a Kano one so far.
I know, that's so bad.
We've got JME Grime MC. We've got Boy Better Know Volume 1. We've got P Money Money Over Everyone Volume 1. And we've also got P Money Is Power. And we've got Skepta Microphone Champion.
I feel like just to make it fair, we should stick to a Kano one.
Okay, cool. I mean, if we look through these, which one's the Grime album? The most grimy Grime album out of all of them? It's got to be 140. Surely it's got to be 140 Grime Street. Like, surely.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. Like with the other two, he really starts like pushing the boundaries out of like what sort of music he wants to make, and especially with his newest one, it's not really grime at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, 140 Grime Street is definitely Kano's best grime album.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I put it, to be honest with you, because I'd probably put it into banger, if I'm being completely honest, because I think at the time they were super impactful tunes. Like Hunting We Will Go was literally like a different like type of thing, and obviously we hadn't heard anything from Kano in a while, and it was sick to see him kind of like pop up again. But kind of looking at it, I don't know if a lot of the tunes, apart from like those kind of lead three, I don't know if I'd really expect to hear them anywhere anymore. So I think for the impact of the kind of lead three, I'd probably put it into banger. I think it's better than a solid album, but I don't know if I can go any higher than a banger.
I'd probably say banger as well, because it's sort of, again, like Kano's like one of those artists that he's brilliant, but he's sort of just forgotten about because he's not active or.
I mean, I'd say a lot of people put Kano in their top 5 grime. A lot of people do. I mean, just to kind of round this off, like, who would you say your top 5 is currently?
My top 5, oh fucking hell, Gets number 1 always.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
He's like probably the biggest inspiration behind like my actual like artistry, like my MC style. P Money, Kano. Oh, this is where it starts getting touchy. Like, I'd probably say Frisco now.
Yeah.
So I'd say Frisco probably number 4, and then I don't really want to say Wiley, but maybe Wiley. I think Wiley on the same level. Wiley's number 5.
Okay. I'd probably go Wiley, Gets. These aren't in order, by the way. These are just the top 5. It'd be a whole different conversation to have them all in there. I'd go Wiley, Gets, Frisco, D-Double, P Money. I'd probably say they're my 5 that I know every single time I'm gonna get something solid out of all of them. So there we go.
Because I think those sort of 5, 6 would be a lot of people's top 5 or 6. So, so that sort of shows like, who has been carrying the grime scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad we don't even put Skepta in there. That's the thing. Neither of us put Skepta anywhere near that top set. But I mean, I don't know where I'd class Skepta now. I don't know if I'd put him into that grime bracket anymore. I'd say he's more of a rapper from the UK at this point. But obviously, what he did for grime in the early days is near enough untouchable. I think that's it. That's all we've got time for today. So I'll leave you to do the outros. It's your channel.
Lovely. Well, thank you everyone for looking in. If you wanted to hear an album that we didn't get around to, please leave a comment. There's actually probably like 10 more on our list. So if you want to see a part 3 to this, please let us know. Tweet us, Instagram us, comment on the YouTube, subscribe, all of that good stuff there. But really hope you enjoyed it. And if you don't agree, then sorry. But yeah, if you do want to see a part 3, please let us know. We really, really enjoyed doing this, and there's probably 100 more grime albums that we could get into. But thank you for joining me on this one and having me on your last one.